Hello friends, myself Dr. Nidhi Darbari on My Education Treasure, and today I am going to explain about the Vedas. The Vedas. The philosophy develops over long spell of time. It is difficult to ascertain the period for the development of a particular philosophy. The historians go on debating about the origin of the Aryans and the time period when the Vedic civilization developed in India. Western philosophers believed that the Aryans descended from the region of North Central Asia around 15,000 BC. Eminent Indian scholars differ, saying that the Aryans were natives of India for long and the Vedic civilization developed about 4000 to 8000 BC. Renowned Indian scholar Lokmanya Tilak contends that the first Vedic hymns could have been composed nearly 6,000 years ago, and the later works like the Upanishad themselves could be nearly 3,000 years old. According to Dr. Radhakrishnan, the outline of the history of Indian philosophy is as follows. The Vedic period, which is between 1500 BC to 600 BC, the epic period between 600 BC to 200 AD, the Sutra period from 200 AD to 1700 AD, and the scholastic period from Sutra period to 17th century. The philosophy of Vedas. The Vedas, Upanishad, Puran, and epics are the sources of the ancient Indian philosophy. To understand the philosophy of Vedas, it is necessary to understand the meaning of the word Veda. Veda is derived from the root of Sanskrit word Vid. Vid means to know God, soul, nature, and mind. To be one with God, to obtain salvation, to consider various relationships, to feel oneness with God, to tell the glories of God, to dwell into the mysteries of the universe. Hindus consider the Vedas to be revealed books and gave them the title of Aparush, not made by man, and Nitya, eternal. Knowledge and wisdom of Veda is said to have been revealed by God to enlightened seers and the sages who wrote under the inspiration from God. The Vedas are said to have been passed from one generation to the other through verbal transmission and are known as Shruti, to hear revelation. The term Vedic literature means the four Vedas and their Samhita and the allied literature based on or derived from the Vedas. Vedic literature can be classified into the four Vedas and their Samhitas: the Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajur Veda, and Atharveda. Brahmans attached to each Samhita, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. The whole Vedas is divided into 1180 recensions. The Vedas contain 20,358 verses. The Rig Veda has largest number of verses, that is 10,522 verses. Atharveda contains 5,977 verses. Yajur Veda contains 1,984 verses, and Samveda has 1,875 verses. Rig Veda is the oldest among all the four Vedas. Atharveda, also known as Science of Medicine. Language of Vedas is ancient Sanskrit. It is of different style, some were very complex and some very simple and easily understood. The Vedas have come down to us through an elaborate system of oral tradition. They were passed on from one generation to another through memorization. Their seers held at the living by the teaching of Vedas was far more important than their memorization and recitation. The Vedas have always been held in high esteem and specially influenced Indian way of life, its culture, history, literature, philosophy, religion, and science. The content of Vedas may be categorized under three heads: the Gyan or wisdom and knowledge, the karma or action of code of conduct, the upasana or dedication or devotion to God. Vedas was the basic education during those days. Each Veda was divided into further three broad sections: Mantra, Brahman, and Aranika. The three Vedas, the Rig Veda, Samveda, and Yajur Veda, are collectively known as Vedtrayi. Athar Veda is considered a later addition. Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra is considered to be the Pancham Veda. Vedas believe in the concept of one God and one world. God is one and only one, omniscient, omnipotent, and ever present. There are three entities in this universe: God, soul, and matter. Ultimate aim of life is to obtain salvation or moksha in union with God. Actions are followed by their results. The law of karma is an important teaching of Veda. This universe is formed by God. The theory of rebirth and immortality of soul. Universe is real. Universal fraternity should be promoted. Knowledge of truth should be acquired and dissipated. Justice should be done to all creatures, and we should live in peace and harmony. The main characteristics of Vedas. Vedas constitute the first source book of knowledge and wisdom. Vedas are for individual good in the present life and future life. Vedas proclaim that the world is real and not myth or an illusion. They provide a primary source of an ethical code. Vedas have a message for all. Vedas stand for universal fraternity. Vedas speak of internal conflict that goes on in men even today. The Vedic philosophy is based on the glory of one God, supreme court, and who is the light behind all the light and the force behind all the forces. The influence of Vedas on human life is manifold. The teachings of the Vedas are secular and are for mankind irrespective of caste, color, and creed. Vedas have a definite message for the guidance of human conduct in daily life. The knowledge and wisdom of Vedas bring about realization of truth, of peace of mind, and ultimate liberation. The Vedic mantra evoke dynamic and psychic vibrations in the spiritual circle of our being and thus unfold the divinity. The Vedas are great repository of divinity. The Vedas contain very noble ideas on goodness, uprightness, and purity of life. The Vedas accord the same status to women as to men. Vedas are not a thing of the past. They, though originated in the past, they illuminate the present and have a definite message for the modern man and guide towards a glorious and fruitful future. Vedas are representative of the Hindu society and culture and point to a unique socio-economic civilization where all are equal irrespective of status and gender. Vedic people had simple and pure living. They worshipped one God whom the wise described as many. It was a religion of nature which held man central. Vedic outlook is optimistic and positive. Vedic outlook on life is revealed. They profess and practice ideal moral life without seduction and sin. People were religiously and spiritually simple, kind, and honest. Students were given special attention and treatment by teachers depending on their interest, aptitude, proficiency, and performance. Acting as a forerunner of modern theory and practice of education. The Vedas are the original source of Indian philosophy and are called impersonal since they were transmitted from one generation to the next by word of mouth from one teacher to his disciple. For the same reason, they are also called Shruti. Scholars such as Radha Krishnan believe that they are not really philosophical texts since they also contain considerable information regarding religion and moral behavior. Traditionally, it is accepted that there are four Vedas: Rig Ved, Sam Ved, Yajur Ved, and Athar Ved. Despite this division, they are all a single compendium of knowledge, and the division is made on the basis of the subject and nature of the hymns contained in each section. For example, the hymns of Rig Veda are really disclaimed. Those of the Sam Veda are sung. The mantra of Yajur Veda were read at the time of making sacrifices during Yajna. Atharvaveda pertains to knowledge about natural objects. The subject matter of the Vedas is broadly divided into two parts: the Gyan Kand, implying the theoretical aspects, providing information about spiritual meditation, and the Karma Kand, concerned with actual conduct, explaining the mode of prayers and sacrifices. The Karma Kand is older than the Gyan Kand, but both are accepted as intimately related to each other. The Vedas provide numerous theories to explain creation, one of which is existence of an important and omniscient power. The Vedas also contain lengthy deliberations on the subject matter of moral conduct, sin and virtue, the theory of karma, and numerous other philosophical and ethical subjects. They also present idea that the pains of the flesh can be alleviated by worship. Most of the elements of Upanishadic philosophy can be found in their rudimentary form in the Vedas. Historians believe that the Rig Veda came into existence some 2000 BC. The Rig Veda contains reference to the Varna system and the ashram system, the fundamental element in the social organization of the Aryans. The hymns of the Rig Veda must have taken centuries to write, a fact which can be said to hold equally true of the other Vedas. But it is difficult to assess correctly the difference between the Vedas in their original form and as they are now extinct. Consequently, it is not an easier to determine how much has been added to them. Thank you very much for patiently watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe.